Hello again, and welcome back. This is episode 11 of Eskimo Brothers Reviews. Today we are doing a film called The Prestige. It's starring Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. They won a couple awards, but nothing too special. So pretty much what this movie is about is it takes place in the late 1800s up into the early 1900s. And you have Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. They are both up-and-coming magicians. And I know what you're thinking. 2020 magicians aren't that cool. But back then, magicians were all the rage. There wasn't a whole lot to do. You didn't have all these films and everything, no internet. So what people used to do, they go out to the theaters and see plays and other things like that. It takes place in the late 1800s to the early 1900s. It's about these two magicians that initially work together, and they're trying to develop their skill with another magician, but something goes wrong, and these two, throughout the film, they develop a feud and a rivalry, and each one of them is trying to one-up the other one, and eventually, pretty much they're just trying to make a living and make a career out of what they like to do, but it can be a pretty hard and cutthroat business. So pretty much the film just goes through the lives of those two in between a set amount of years. So what I know I've seen it before. Shadowman here has not, so I'm going to ask him how he felt about it.
When you said The Prestige and first told me a little bit about it, I was thinking I wasn't going to like it. I was like, a movie about magicians.
I was thinking you
Christian
were going to
Bale.
like it too.
I was surprised at how much I did like it, actually. It's a long movie, and I could feel it being long, but I also kept going, I hope this isn't the end. I want it to keep going. I really wanted it to keep going. It was so well written, I thought, particularly the dialogue.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I didn't know what to think in the beginning either, the first time I watched it, but then once I finished it, I was like, oh, wow. So this isn't good. This is really good. I like this.
At first, it makes you think that the ending is given away at the beginning, and I was ready to shit on it for that. But there's a twist on top of it.
The great thing about this film is that it's about magicians, and it is pretty magical. It's like a trick in itself.
Yeah.
You expect one thing to happen and something else happens, or maybe that one thing does happen, but additionally something else secret happens, and it's just all kinds of things.
There's times where a scene will cut, and then you'll forget about it, and then it'll show the scene basically again, but the whole thing.
Yeah, that was another thing that the first time I watched it, it was a little bit confusing. It was a little hard to understand at first, and that's because the way it is it's set in pretty much 3 different time periods. So there's the current day, and then there's a few years before that, and then a few years before that. So they'll go back and forth between these 3, and you just have to figure out for yourself, based on who's in the scene, how they look, what they're talking about, exactly what part of the story you're watching. And I thought that added to the magic and the mystery of it too.
Yeah, I was a little confused at first, but then I picked up on what's going on, because it doesn't say present day or nothing's on screen telling you.
No.
That At first I'm like, why does he have a limp sometimes and sometimes he doesn't? And then I figured it out.
Yeah. So this is a period piece. It is set in a certain time period. It takes place in primarily London. So you get to see all the different the styles and things they wore back there in the early 1900s. But I'm personally a big fan of films like that. I like historical type films, but this one added a little bit more because not only was it based in a certain time period, they used actual people that survived in that time period as other actors. For example, Nikola Tesla is a pretty big and pretty important part of this film, and you wouldn't think so in the beginning.
Right.
So it is, like an old style film with a real legitimate person who survived or who lived in that time. So
And Tesla's
like that.
played by David Bowie.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I don't think I picked that up the first time I saw it.
Hmm.
And then and then Shadow mentioned it. I'm like, yeah, that is him.
He talks with an accent, so you wouldn't know it. I mean, you got to know what he looks like. The dilated pupil gives it away for me. And his accent, he sounds a little bit like Pierce Brosnan, actually, which made me think, oh, Pierce Brosnan could have done that part.
Yeah, and since he brought up accents, we were discussing Christian Bale and how when I first started hearing him talk, I'm like, oh, I don't really like that accent. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, isn't he from the UK? So we looked it up, and he is from Wales. Well, he doesn't speak with a Welsh accent, some like South England accent. But it was, that was interesting as well. And then Hugh Jackman from Australia had a nice, beautiful American accent. It was perfect. I loved it. So throughout this movie, like I said, you view these two magicians trying to make a living, and it was pretty cool because it shows like the grind and the struggle of an entertainer. I thought it was similar to like stand-up comedians. So you'll see in the beginning they're kind of like understudies of another magician, and then they kind of develop their own tricks, and they have to play small little shows and like pubs, and then eventually they gain momentum and are up to huge theaters. So and throughout the whole time it showed the struggles and the hardships that they had to go through in order to make it big, and the sacrifices they had to make, and the things they went through to do that. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's how it is today with musicians and local bands and artists and stuff. You have to keep trying and keep gaining that momentum, and eventually it'll hopefully work out for you. So I thought that was a pretty cool aspect of it.
Yeah, the writing there. I like how there's a lot of twists.
Yeah.
There's a twist, and I was never expecting it the whole movie. I go, okay, that's the big twist, and then there's another. Like, oh,
it's
almost like an illusion show.
Yes.
A magician would do.
Yeah.
Oh, you think this? Well, boom.
It is pretty unbelievable. It's pretty crazy.
When he told me this was a movie about two magicians, I was thinking it was going to be kind of them trying to impress each other. Like, well, look, I pulled a rabbit out of a hat, and the other one going, yeah, so what? Here's your card.
That might have been, a nice little part in there, because it was pretty. It was a thriller. It was
Drama.
And
there's some comedy in there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of comedy in there.
When he did the magic trick in the prison. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Christian Bale, great method actor. Yeah, I think what we mentioned before is that it could be kind of hard to understand, and because of so many twists and because of the way it was filmed in 3 different time periods and stuff, it can be a little difficult to get at first, but I promise you'll understand. And even at the end, when you think you might know what happened, they kind of go through what exactly happened.
Yeah.
So just in case you're kind of questioning, like, oh wait, did I really see that or something? They kind of go through, makes you understand it a little more. So even if you are super confused by the end, it'll all make sense and you'll enjoy it.
I liked how they they really crammed a lot into the movie. Like, it's not just the story of the two magicians.
Mhm.
There's also a little bit of the Tesla versus Edison
Yes,
thing.
yes.
And there's the woman involved with two men kind of thing where she's torn, and there's a lot of...
Yeah.
There's just a lot in it.
It was, it's like 2 hours and 16 or 2 hours and 19 minutes, so it wasn't super long, but it was still, you know, a little longer than normal these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say it was definitely worth it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
This film takes you through all different types of emotions, through all the scenes. I mean, there's jealousy, there's anger, sadness, you know, like happiness. It's all kinds of things. It's definitely a roller coaster.
It's magical.
It is magical. Probably like the last thing I will like mention about it, because I don't want to like give anything away, because it is a really good film and I think you guys should see it. Was I kind of compared these two magicians, since they are rivals. It's kind of like Coke and Pepsi, where you have these two products trying to gain as much popularity as possible. So, you know, when one magician, you know, has a great act, the other one is kind of curious, so, you know, that he might go to the show and try to figure it out, and then maybe he can figure it out, maybe he can't, whatever, he's going to try to take it and make it his own kind of thing. So they're just going to go back and forth and see who can, you know, who can gain the biggest crowd and get the best ovation and everything. And so that was pretty interesting to just see how, you know, cutthroat it could be, and just see how competitive people are and how much they put into it.
There's a lot of that, yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you have anything else to add about these magicians?
I don't think so. Other than I didn't care for Christian Bale's accent. Yeah, other than that.
Yeah, I mean his acting was good. Yeah, I liked the makeup, all the things they wore. Their facial hair was awesome. You know, all that stuff was pretty good. So
what's next?
Let's see. I think we are going to do, so episode 12 is next. We are going to do a film you can currently catch on Netflix. It's from 2016. It's called The Free State of Jones, starring Matthew McConaughey. Now, personally, I think Matthew McConaughey is pretty awesome. I mean, he's such a great actor. You know, he's got that sexy accent. I mean, there's so many
Matthew
good
McConaughey.
things.
No, we're not. Why do you do this to me? Why?
Look, it's just I thought it was something you'd like. It's